y'all, and welcome back to Street Rust. It is a beautiful, humid, but beautiful evening in the summer here in Northwest Arkansas. It actually is cooling down a little bit, humidity's dropped a little bit, so I feel I can actually get outside and do something without stroking out. So anyway, you guys recognize this 84 Chevy Truck C10, and it is a Scottsdale. It actually has power windows, power locks, everything of that nature. So you saw this in the last video. We got it started. The owner Wes, we brought it over earlier this week and tucked it away in the garage and just kind of left it there this week. But here's what we're going to do. There's two things that I need to look at before I get him involved in tuning it up. Number one is this valve train noise on the passenger side. We're going to give it an Italian tune-up with some Berryman down the carburetor, and I've got some Rislone oil additive that's supposed to help loosen up lifters and valves and things of that nature. We're going to try that because this has been sitting for 2 years. If that doesn't work, then we're going to have to take things off to get to these valve covers. Remember, this is a big block stuck where actually we said 305. I actually looked up the VIN on this. It was actually a 350. And then I'm going to look at the starter. It's making a god-awful noise, and it's a mini starter. I don't know what we're going to be able to do, but we'll look at that. I think when we get those two things levelized, then we'll get Wes involved and go through the tune-up process, the plugs, the wires, the timing, flush the radiator, flush the engine block, just some basic stuff on that. So anyway, stay tuned. I'm going to get this thing running, get the hood up, get the breather off, and give it that Italian tune-up. Alrighty folks, well hey, first of all, here's this, I don't know if you pronounce it Rislone or Rislone. I've called it Rislone my whole life. Used to be, when I was a young man, about the only product you could find to do an oil clean out was Rislone. It came in a can and you had to punch the top and all that, but this product is engine treatment. It's conditioner and cleaner, cleans, restores, and protects, quiets noisy lifters and valves, reduce friction and wear. I think it was about $8. We're going to try that, so we're going to do that. Go ahead and get this air cleaner off. And I tell you what, before I put this back on, this just ain't right. I'm going to try to take a little steel wool of that, clean that up a little bit. Anyway, got this off. We're going to crank her up, let her warm up. Then I'm going to grab that that Berryman I got, and we're going to give it the Italian tune-up. Oh hey, by the way, I want you to hear this thing start. And if you got any thoughts or ideas on this mini starter that's on here, it's like the Bendix is coming out too far and hitting metal. I don't know that's what it sounds like, so I don't know. So take a listen to it and tell me what you think down in the comments. Don't know where that kicking is. Last time I could have sworn it was over here. Now I'm hearing it over here. What I may do, I'm gonna go ahead. I got half a can of this left I did on the love. I'm gonna go ahead and feed this down there. Idle's good. We're gonna give it a little love here. Well, I did it there. Doggone it. Let's see if it'll crank back up quick. I probably flooded it. we got water in the radiator, so I got to keep an eye on the temp. Let's see if you guys can see in here okay. I'm probably going to move you up a little closer now so you can kind of see in here. Hear that ticking sound? Alright. I'm going to let you hear that ticking sound. So, I could have swore a week ago it was over here. Now I can't tell if it's coming from somewhere down in here or somewhere over here. It sounds like it's over here now. One thing we will do for sure is we'll go ahead and take the serpentine belt off and crank this thing over. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna put the Rislone in right here. We'll do that here in a second. We'll shut it off. I think I'm gonna take the serpentine belt off and crank it over and see if that clicking still happens. See if it's maybe one of the accessories here. All right, let me kill her. You know, for setting 2 years, and listen, still don't know what the big boom was. We got underneath. I got underneath. I checked the top of the mufflers. Nothing's blowing out down there. Here's my hypothesis, if you will. We had to change that ignition control module, the ICM. But I also know when we first started trying to start it, it did kick one time. So if it was an intermittent problem with the ICM and it loaded up a bunch of fuel into the pistons, it's very possible that his big boom was just a big backfire. So, because based on everything that we're seeing and hearing, yeah, we've got a ticking sound we need to address, but I just don't see that there's anything cataclysmic, a rod or any, obviously it's sitting here running, right? You're not gonna do that with the rod problem. I tell you, it needs a new serpentine belt, ain't no doubt about that. That thing is weather cracked. But all right, let's get this additive in here. I may have to grab a funnel for that. Might as well grab some paper towels here too while we're at it. All right. I don't know why I'm shaking it, but that just seems like the right thing to do. Ooh, that's nasty. Just got all over myself. It is humid out here, folks. Ooh, look at, that's a pretty kind of an aqua blue. Pretty color there. They did a good job on the color. Can y'all see that? Here, let me get it where you can see it. And you know, folks, the color doesn't matter. This does the product work. So hey, there's a product test for this Rislone engine treatment. Okay. All right, got that done. Done with that. And we'll get that cleaned up, that funnel cleaned up a little later. Get this back together. Tell you what, if y'all don't mind just giving me a minute to go get a, let's see, how do we take this off? I'm gonna guess it's this tensioner right here that we just tension it and take that belt off. So great opportunity too, before you take a belt off, if you're not familiar with the engine, and I'm not with this one, take a couple pictures so you don't doggone forget where everything went. And that's what I'm doing right here. Okay? And that'll help us when we put this back on. All right, let me grab, that looks like about a 5/8. Tell you what, folks, I'll be right back. I gotta find my 5/8. I gotta find my breaker bar, rather. Be right back. All right, folks, 5/8. We're going to get the serpentine belt off. The easiest place here to do it. Actually, probably right there. There we go. That's simple. There's actually a lot of room in here, so we're not going to hurt anything up. You know, the water pump's not going to be running, but we're not going to be running it long. All we're doing right here is we're verifying that that clicking sound, that's the water pump. I can hear the bearings, but nothing's moving. We're just going to verify that that these auxiliary devices, the power steering pump, the alternator, the AC compressor, water pump, I already said that, tensioners, make sure that they're not making the noise. So you're going to have inside the main bearing's going to rotate, your main crank, and of course your timing chain, your cam's still going to be running, so you're not interfering with all that. You just won't be charging or cooling or anything of that nature. And if y'all look at this, now this thing's been set in 2 years, so there's no judgment going on here, but here's what bad looks like. See those cracks? When you take that belt, that's right side out, this is inside out, and you go like that, and you can see those cracks in there. That's bad. That's what it's not supposed to look like. What I normally do is when I buy a new one and put it on, I keep this one, I keep it in the sleeve it came in, so I know the part number for next time. I throw it behind the seat, so if I ever have an emergency on the road, this old cracked one is better than no serpentine belt. So let's crank her up again and see what we got. Let me get you in here. You hear that ticking sound? It's still, I don't think that's an exhaust leak. I think it's coming from inside here. So we know for sure it's not one of these other devices. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm just going to let this run. Actually, I'm going to shut it off, put the serpentine belt back on so the water pump's working and the alternator charging the battery. And I'm just going to sit here and let this run, get it up to temp, let that Rislone do its job, and see what we got. Okay? We'll be back. All right, folks, it is the next night, and back on this C10. Here's what we're going to do. I haven't started this since I pulled it back in the garage last night. We put that Rislone in, gave it the little Italian tune-up there. Thank you, Derek, for showing me the Italian tune-up and training me on that procedure. And let's just start this thing up. If we got this ticking noise, which I think we're gonna have, we're just gonna have to get those valve covers off somehow. Oh, forgot to shut that. All right, here we go. Let that fuel pump up for a second. There you go. Pops right off. Still got that ticking noise. I can hear it. I can hear it in here. And that's not a doggone, that's not a It's not an exhaust leak. That's a clear ticking right there. So we got to dig into this. So let me get everything ready and we'll start digging into this. All right, folks, we're back. A couple things here. First of all, got the valve cover off. I'll show you. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But little, so these are the valve cover bolts. And the problem is the studs stay in and this comes off. Little tedious, but what I had to do was get two little nuts the same thread, screw them down on there and tighten them together and back that out. So it was a little tedious. And so got a little surprise when I looked in here. So let me I know you're looking at the fender right now, and that's for a reason. I'm going to show you this, and you tell me what you're seeing. You tell me what you're seeing here. See the number on that? 1:7 ratio. And what's that little thing on the end right there? Oh my gosh. It's like a Valley girl. We've got 1:7 ratio rocker arms, roller rocker arms. So this thing just keeps getting better and better and better. So what I had to do, I took the, let me get the light down here. Took the alternator off right here. Alternator's now right here. And I had to take some of the throttle bracket bolts out and get that, and I was able to, this moved out of the way, I was able to lift it up far enough to kind of, and then drag it out this way. So wasn't as bad as I thought. Didn't have to take that brake booster off though. So that's what we got. That's where we're at for tonight. I'm gonna have to go study up once again on adjusting these roller rocker arms. I know that you've got a lock nut on there and use an Allen wrench to adjust them, but I want to make sure I'm 100%. And then I'll get the other side off. I'm still struggling with getting the date code off this engine. It's tucked way back in the back. I took a little bit of video on the with the GoPro. I'm gonna see if I can put that on the laptop and zoom in, see if I see anything, and I'm just gonna keep digging until I find it. There's metric bolts, like for the alternator, and for the belt tensioner, it wasn't 5/8. It's about 15 millimeter. So we definitely got a late model big block in here. And before I say exactly what it is, I want to pull the codes. So more to follow tomorrow night. We'll be back here on this. See you shortly. Alrighty, folks. Back on the Chevy truck. I want to get this wrapped up so we can move on to another project. It's been about a week gap between the last video that you saw just a couple seconds ago and now. I just had too much going on. Anyway, big block. Just a couple of minutes ago, I showed the little surprise we had in here, the roller rockers. So how do you adjust the valve lash on a big block Chevy? How do you adjust the valve lash on pretty much anything that has a hydraulic lifter, whether it's roller or flat tappet or whatever? You can search the internet, you can read books. There's a couple different methods. One is to do it while it's running, to me the least preferred. The second is you loosen the rocker arm and you tighten it down until you can't spin the push rod by your hand, which is kind of difficult on this big block, especially on the intake. These are your intake and these are your exhaust here. Anyway, and then you give it a half turn. Then you've got another method that you basically tighten this down until the rod will not move, push rod won't move up and down like that. And then you give it one full turn. So I've gone with the method of, I loosened it up, I tightened it down until I couldn't twist the push rod in there, and then I gave it a half turn. Everything seems to be happy there. So we're going with that. And what I'm gonna do is get all this put back together, but what I wanted to show you, got a new little toy here. And let me tell you about this endoscope. Let me get the box over here. I'm not for those of you that have had a colonoscopy in your life, kind of scary when it says endoscope. Kind of like borescope. Anyway, I bought this on Amazon for like 40 bucks. That's with tax, delivered, everything, and super pleased with it. And I've actually got, I'm going to put you on this camera here. See how I can get this. This is kind of difficult to do. Tell you what, let me see if I can do this. There we go, right there. Okay, so, and it's actually even, whoa. This just isn't easy to do, folks. There we go. Let's try that right there. Okay, you guys can see that. I can move this around in here. Well, there we go. Okay, there we go. You can see it. There's some ridging at the top, and I know we gave it the Italian tune-up, but I tell you what, it's pretty dang clean in there. I don't see any sign of driving me crazy. Anyway, I don't see any sign. Let's see if I can just loop it around like that. No, that ain't gonna work either. So, doing my best, folks. I apologize. Anyway, you don't see any signs of dirt, buildup, rust, anything like that. Now, we gave it the Italian tune-up. I showed you just a while ago, but it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good in there. I've checked all 4 of them, and correction, all 8 of them, 4 on each side, and everything looks as clean as that one. Now let's take a look at the plugs. I've got all the plugs pulled out. Obviously, that helps turning the engine over by hand, which we didn't talk about. When you adjust the valve lash, 454 big block. Actually, it would be like this. You'd have 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. Your firing order, which, as you know, we put on the hood up here. Okay, so we'll never lose it. But it's 1843 6572. Different ways to do this as well. But the absolute goal, when you're adjusting, well, let me give you an example here. Let's get rid of this. Let me get rid of this endoscope. We're going to call it a borescope. That's good down there. All right, let's get in here a little closer. All right, so here's your exhaust valve, obviously exhaust, and here's your intake, closer to the intake manifold. On a big block Chevy, when you're looking at a small block Chevy, these won't be staggered like this. They'll just be in a row. Anyway, so your firing order, it goes 1-8, starts 1-8. So when your exhaust valve, you crank the engine over as your exhaust valve begins to go down and open. This is fully closed on the round part of the cam, and you can adjust it. Then you just follow your firing order. So I just followed the firing order of 18436572 and did them one at a time. Then I went back, when I got done with that, I did the same thing on the valve lash for the exhaust valve. As the number 1 intake was closing, this was on the round side of the cam, so I was able to adjust this one. There again, just use the sequence. Okay, that's the method that I use, and it seemed to work pretty well. So I want you to take a look at these plugs here. All these plugs, you can see, pretty much look the same. They're black and sooty, which, when you look over here, you guys have seen this in the back of certain manuals, Haynes, Chilton, things of that nature. We don't have any bridging, we don't have any oil, which is a good thing. That means no oil's getting by the rings. It's black and sooty though, and that is definitely an indication that it was running either too rich, or we had some misfire with the ignition system. Now, if you remember when we got this started, back here on the electronic ignition, we replaced the ICM, that ignition control module. So I'm just going to clean these up. I'm going to brush them off and hit them with some carb cleaner and put them back in. I had to take off the alternator to get this valve cover off because it's so big. And remember, we got a big block shoved in where a small block was. And I had to take off the AC compressor to get this valve cover off. So I'm going to get all this put back together, get this bad boy cranked up, and I'll be back when that's complete. All right, folks, you know what? You still hear this ticking sound, but it's not coming from here, it's not coming from there. Let me get a light on. I'll wrap this up with a knife. I'm gonna tell you, the ticking sound. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Got my little pipe I put my ear up to. That's not coming from here. It's coming from here. You can very clearly hear this sound coming out of this distributor. I can put my hand on it and feel the tick. So I'm gonna have to dig into that. Back to the drawing board. Hey, at least the valves are adjusted, right? See y'all shortly. Okay, welcome back. It is Sunday afternoon, right after church, and I made a decision thinking about this over the morning. We're going to go ahead and end this video now. I think we've got the valves adjusted. We're going to have to move our focus, which is going to require a third video, so I can get some footage out. Looking at this distributor, I'm confident. I'm 97.37% confident that the ticking is coming from the distributor, that loud ticking that we're hearing. So I want you to see this because this is reality. This is not rebuilding a car from beginning to end in a 30-minute video. You fixed one problem, you thought that was a problem, it's not the problem, you found the problem. So we're going to start digging into that distributor and figuring out what's going on. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We are over 300 subscribers, and I'm very grateful and very blessed for that, and I thank you for that. So please take the opportunity to subscribe, to like, and to share. You guys have made it abundantly clear the revival on this is pushing 9,000 views. You've made it abundantly clear this is what you want to see. So I've got a couple things we're going to be doing with the Newport, kind of the channel car right now. I'm saving my pennies to go out and buy a vehicle to do a revival. So that's going to be forthcoming. So thank you all very much. Have a great day and be blessed.